Hello, welcome to Think and Grow Rich Daily Hangout. My name's Sandy Levesque. I'm joined here by Glenn Walker. Hi, Glenn.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. If
New
you've already
week.
watched this before, if you're watching for the first time, this is a daily hangout which is designed to help everyone who's a part of it become a student of Think and Grow Rich, the book, the magic book by Napoleon Hill that's helped literally millions of people since it came out in the 1930s. And we meet together to read the book, but also to share anything that we've experienced or that's relevant to the book, because that can make it even more powerful. And so welcome to the group. If you've never come into the live hangout, you're very welcome to do that. I've put instructions in the Facebook group. You do need to be a member of that group, though, to get the link to actually come into the hangout, because I know if I made that totally public, it would be a little bit crazy. I've done that before by accident, and we had all kinds of strange people coming into the hangout asking the girls to stand up and stuff. So I'm not willing to do that. So, but if you come into the Facebook group, you'll see the link, and you're very welcome to join us. So we're actually reading from Your Right to Riches lecture notes that Napoleon that were put together from Napoleon's lectures. And we're on the fifth one, the last one actually, 5 of 9, the last one that I have anyway. I might see if I can get the others, because I think there's 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I'm going to contact my friend, see if he'll send them to us. So would you like to read, Glenn, or shall I read it? I really don't mind.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Sandy. Yeah, you wanted
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll just screen share then. So what we were reading in the last reading on Friday was, for anyone who didn't see that, was about different traits of success. You know, what 31 things that Napoleon had observed in people that were, successful beyond average levels, because that's what his whole philosophy is about, how to become one of the 2% of people that really do phenomenal, extraordinary things. So this is the lecture you can see here, Your Right to be Rich. You can actually listen to the live version by clicking on the links at the beginning of the PDFs. And you have these in the Facebook group. If you just go to Files, you can download the exact file that you're looking at right now and have it for yourself to come back to you after this group recording is finished. Okay, so now I'll just start reading. So we're talking about self-discipline. It means complete control over both the body and mind. Complete control. It doesn't mean changing your mind or your body. It means controlling it. It breaks the great emotion of sex. It gets more people into trouble than all the other emotions combined. And yet it's the most creative, the most profound, and most divine of all the emotions. It's not the emotion that gets people in trouble. It's their lack of controlling it and directing it, transmuting it, which they would readily be able to do if they had self-discipline, and so it is with the other faculties of the body and the mind. It's not that you have to change completely, it's just that you have to be the master. You have to be in control and recognize the things that you must do in order to have sound health and peace of mind. It also means the development of daily habits by which the mind is kept busy in connection with the things and the circumstances that one desires, and of the circumstances one does not desire. This is just a note from me. Yes, I totally agree with that. It means that you will not accept or submit to the influence of any circumstance or thing you do not desire. Nothing at all. Don't submit to it. You may have to tolerate it, but you don't have to submit to it. You don't have to admit that it's stronger than you are. On the other hand, you assert that you are stronger than it because you're not going to submit to it. You can give your imagination a wide range of operation there as to what these things are that you're going to have to deal with, that you're not going to submit to. It means that you will build a free wall protection around yourself, so no one will ever know all about you or what goes on in your mind. Isn't that an interesting thing? Would you want anybody in this world, anybody, to know all about you? Audience members, no. Napoleon, who would? If you're in your right mind, you wouldn't. Would you want anybody to know all that you think about them? He laughs, and he continues, I'm sure you wouldn't. There are a lot of people who just make the mistake of letting anybody that wants to know everything that goes on in their mind. All you have to do is get them to start talking. You know, those people who start their mouths working and go up and leave them. You know the type I'm talking about. Just get them started and believe me, you'll find out all about them, good and bad. Napoleon once did some professional work with J. Edgar Hoover on great many occasions, who told him that once the fellow who he is investigating is the best help to him of all, is because he gets more information from the guy that he's tracing than from all the other sources combined. Napoleon said, why? And J. Edgar Hoover said, because he talks too damn much. Okay, sorry, I kind of misread that, or the notes are a bit unclear. Anyone who talks all the time is really easy to sort of suss out, basically. So tell me what a person fears, and I will tell you how to master them. The very minute you find out what anybody fears, you'll know exactly how to control them if you're foolish enough to want to control anybody on that basis. Napoleon never wanted to control anybody on fear. When he controlled anybody at all, he did so on the basis of love and no other basis. The average person talks too much for their own good. The invisible guides are a creation of their own imagination. They represent real entities and real people, and each one performed the exact duty that he assigned to him. The first of these guides is the guide of sound physical health. Why do you suppose Napoleon put that as number one? Audience members give various answers. Napoleon said, fine. What in the world could the mind be doing going around in a body that has to be supported by crutches all the time? A good, strong physical body is the temple of the mind, and it has to be sound. It has to be healthy. There has to be plenty of energy there. When you turn on the old enthusiasm button and there's no energy there, you can't generate something out of nothing. You've got to have a store of energy, and energy is physical. It's physical in nature, and it's also mental in nature. Napoleon didn't know anybody who can express intense enthusiasm whose body is a series of aches and pains. The first duty to yourself is to see that your physical body responds to all of your needs at all times, does the thing that it was supposed to do, and you need a little bit more help than just what you can get during the day, because when you lay your body down, then nature goes to work on it. She gives it a tune-up, and you have to have this trained entity called the Guide to Sound Health to do that job, to supervise it, and to see that it is done properly. The Guide to Financial Prosperity, number 2. Why do you suppose Napoleon put that second in importance? Do you know anybody that can be of great service to others without money? How long can you get along without money? You've got to have money. You've got to have a money consciousness in this entity that you're building up here through this guide, which gives you a money consciousness. Napoleon's guide was so controlled that he didn't make money his god. Napoleon didn't permit that. He didn't permit himself to become greedy or to pay too much for the money he got. He paid enough, but not too much. Napoleon knew people who paid too much, who died too young because they put too much effort into accumulating money that they didn't need and couldn't use. The only purpose to conserve it would be to cause their descendants to fight over it after they passed on. The guide's business was to see that Napoleon stopped when he got enough and that he didn't want too much. This money-getting business becomes kind of a vicious circle. You get in it and say, I'll make my first million and I'll quit. Napoleon remembered the time when Bing Crosby announced to his brother, who was his manager, when they made the first 50,000 that was enough. They were going to quit. It got down to where they make over $1 million every year and still working harder than they ever did before, struggling in a rat race. Bing was a friend of Napoleon's and he greatly admired him, but he was speaking of all people in that category who paid too much for trying to get things they don't need. This is a philosophy dealing with economic success, but success wouldn't consist in your destroying your life and dying too young because you tried to get too much of anything. Stop when you get enough. Make better use of the things you have right now instead of trying to get a lot more things that you're not going to make any use out of at all. What a wonderful thing it is, that statement that comes out of the Bible, the meaning which is not too much, not too little of anything. Not too much, not too little of, just enough of everything. Next, peace of mind. What good would it be to you if you owned everything in the world and could collect a royalty from every person living if you didn't have peace of mind? What good would it be? Napoleon had the privilege of knowing intimately the most outstanding and the most successful, richest people that this country has ever produced. Sleeping in their houses, eating with them, knowing their families, their wives and husbands and their children. He even saw what happened to their children after they died and passed on. He saw all of that, and he knew the importance of learning to live a balanced life so that you can have peace of mind as you go along. Make your occupation or your daily labor, whatever it is, a game that you're getting a joy out of. Napoleon always said that one of the sins of civilization consists in the fact that so few people are engaged in a labor of love, things they love to do, like to do. Most people are doing things because they have to eat, sleep, and have some clothes to wear. When a person gets in a position where they can do the thing that is being done for the sake of love because they want to do it, they're really fortunate. This philosophy leads to that very condition, but you'll never attain that position unless you learn to maintain a positive mental attitude at least a major portion of your time. Out of all those people that collaborated with Napoleon in the building of this philosophy, they represented every outstanding success in every field of that era. Out of all of those people, there was only one that Napoleon could vaguely approached having peace of him along with his success. And his name was John Burroughs. The one that came next was Mr. Edison, and then Mr. Carnegie as number 3. In the latter part of his years, Carnegie practically lost his mind trying to find ways and means of gorging himself with his fortunes and giving it away to where it would do no harm. It almost drove him crazy. His major obsession in the latter part of his days was to get this philosophy well organized while he was living and into the hands of people so it would provide them with the know-how by which they could acquire material things, including money, without violating the rights of other people. That's what he wanted more than anything else in this world. Mr. Carnegie died in 1919 before Napoleon had even translated this into writing, but he had checked and double-checked on 15 of the 17 principles. There are 2 people that Napoleon always regretted who didn't live to see him in the day of his triumph, after having seen him in his days of discouragement and opposition. Those were his stepmother and his sponsor, Andrew Carnegie. It would have been a great joy to Napoleon and quite enough compensation for a lifetime of effort if he could have displayed to those 2 wonderful people the results of their handiwork in manipulating him and directing him at times when he needed direction. There were times when Napoleon was sure that somebody was standing looking over his shoulder because he said and did things that were beyond his reasonable intelligence. The things that Napoleon did, which might be called brilliant and outstanding, always were done by the person looking over his shoulder, and always in the time of an emergency when he had to make important decisions. He could almost feel that person telling him what decision to make, and he could almost turn around and imagine that he was standing there in person. Napoleon could never have done what had been done in connection with this philosophy if he had nothing but the collaboration of those other 5-6 men in front of him. That wouldn't have been enough. He had more than that. Napoleon's honest opinion was that he didn't have anything that you can't have, and that whatever sources of inspiration he was drawing upon, you can have that same source. It's just as available to you as it was to Napoleon. The next guides, which are twins, are hope and faith. How far would you get in life if you didn't have an eternal burning flame of hope and faith working in your soul? There wouldn't be anything worth living for, would there? You have to have a system for keeping your mind positive because there are things to destroy hope and faith, aren't there? People, circumstances, things you can't control even though they pop up in life. You've got to have a system to antidote those things and to offset them, something you can manipulate and draw upon. Napoleon knew of no better system than the 8 guides that he adopted because they worked for him, and he taught them to many people for whom they worked just as well for him. The next guides are of love and romance, which are also twins. Nothing worthwhile could be accomplished unless a man or woman romanticized whatever they were doing. In other words, if you don't put some romance into what you're doing, you don't get any fun out of it. If there's no love in your heart, then you're just not quite a human being. The main difference between the lower animals and human beings is that the human being is capable of expressing the emotion of love. It's a wonderful thing, It's a great builder of geniuses and leaders. It's also a great builder and maintainer of sound health. The two guides, love and romance, in Napoleon's life, their guide was to keep him friendly with what he did in life and to keep him young in body and in mind. They kept him enthusiastic and sold on what he was doing, and they took the drudgery out of it. In other words, if he didn't have a thing such as hard work, because he didn't work at anything. He played at everything he did. Everything he did was a labor of love. Before you get in a position where you can economically forget about earning a living, there are some things that you have to think about that maybe takes little pleasure out of work. But if you watch yourself, you can develop a system that will make everything you do, even washing dishes, digging ditches, or anything else you make, a labor of love. When Napoleon went home, he helped Annie Lou wash the dishes. Not because she couldn't do it, but because he wanted to feel that he wasn't too good to help wash the dishes, and he got great joy out of doing it. Napoleon wasn't above working in the garden, because if he didn't do it, Annie Lou would do it when he was gone and deprive him of the pleasure. It's a great thing to learn the simple life and to learn to be a human being instead of a stiff shirt or something else you don't want to be. Learn to get love and romance into your life, and learn to have a system whereby that habit of love and romance will express itself in everything you do. The last one, the guide to overall wisdom, is the controller of the other seven. His business is to keep them active, eternally engaged in your service, and also to adjust you to every circumstance of your life, pleasant or unpleasant, so that you may benefit from that circumstance. It's a wonderful thing when you come to recognize that no experience in life is ever lost, whether it's good or bad. No experience is ever lost at all if you will make the right adaptation of yourself to it. You can always profit by every experience in life if you have a system for doing it. If you just let your emotions run wild and you go down under these unpleasant experiences, you'll attract more unpleasant experiences than you will pleasant ones. Unpleasant experiences are cowardly. When you get to where you say, "Come on over here, little fellow, I'm going to put you to work," somehow they find business around the corner. They don't come your way so often when they know that you're going to put them to work. Have you ever thought of that? If you fear unpleasant circumstances, they'll crowd down your influx. They'll come in the back door and the front door. They'll come in when you're not expecting, when you're unprepared to deal with them. Napoleon didn't particularly invite unpleasant circumstances, but if they were foolish enough to come his way, they found themselves ground up in his meal of life. He made grist out of them. Eternal vigilance is the price that one must pay to maintain a positive mental attitude, because of these and other natural opposites of positive thinking, and here they are. First of all, your negative self constantly maneuvering for power over you. Do you know there are entities working in your makeup all the time, constantly maneuvering to gain power over you on the negative side of life? You have to be eternally on the alert to see that those entities don't take you over. Your accumulated fears, doubts, and self-imposed limitations are something you have to deal with constantly, lest they get the upper hand, unless they become the dominating influence in your mind. Then, the negative influences near you, including the people who are negative, the people you work with, the people you live with, maybe some of your own relatives that are negative. If you don't watch, you'll be just like them because you'll respond in kind. It may be necessary for you to live in the same house with somebody who's negative, but it's not necessary for you to be negative just because you're in a house with somebody who is. It can be a little bit difficult to immunize yourself against that kind of influence, but you can do it. Napoleon did it. Mahatma Gandhi did it. Look what he did with immunizing himself against things he didn't want. And I'll just stop there, because then it goes into some other points. So we're on page 8. Okay, I'll just come back. Oh, we have a message from, sorry, I got distracted there. I just read the Q&A. We have a message from Tracy, which made me laugh. Says, we have 2 messages. We have a message from...
Dressed, right?
Yeah, exactly. He says, oh, you can see it too. Yeah. He's, hi there, I'm here, but I'm not dressed yet. Ha ha ha.
Hey,
And we have a message
boy,
from him.
that's a rich passage, Sandy. There's a
Yeah,
lot
I know.
condensed information in that, right?
It
Tremendous.
really is. I was thinking, well, I'm gonna have to go back and like recap this when we start
Yeah,
chatting.
I think I'll read it again afterwards because I think it's pretty powerful.
Yeah,
A lot of
I do.
content there,
Yeah.
and
And I also want to just
but
say hi to Gay.
one thing that stood out to me was the love, right? The love, of course, because if you
Yeah,
don't do your work out of love, and it isn't always about for yourself either, right? It's really maybe for a larger expression of yourself to other people, right?
yeah,
And the
yeah,
people that your family, your friends, people that you can aid and assist in volunteering
totally.
or giving or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And I think like the kind of work you do, I think is a very giving work because you extend yourself out to people in the world. That's a wonderful, uplifting thing to do. Great,
oh, thank
great.
you, Glenn. Actually, it's funny you should say that, and I just want to say also hi to Gayam, who's also left us a message in the chat, just saying hi. They're watching for the first time, so hello, welcome. Thanks for being here, and you're welcome to actually join in at any point you want to. So, but yeah, just coming back to what you were saying, Glenn. Um, I used to do work which
And
was
that's Tracy.
not. Ah, we have Tracy. He's dressed.
Hey,
Hey, Tracy.
some,
And I'm
Welcome back.
clean.
somebody enjoyed the tour, right? Somebody enjoyed the tour. I saw that.
Yeah, that was a hard race.
Well, Glenn's talking about the Tour de France for people watching who don't know us on Facebook. You live right near where it went through. Oh, he's just gone.
I
He's
had to
on
get
the
my
Tour de
Tour de
France.
France hat on.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
what was it like, Tracy, seeing the race go past? Did you get an inner glimpse into successful athletes?
Yeah, well, I got an idea of what average is not.
Right. I'd love to hear about that. What
171
did you?
guys. Huh?
I'd love to hear about that. What did you see?
Well, there were 171 guys started the race yesterday. At the beginning of the race, there were, I think it's 9 people on 22 teams this year. They had 2 extra teams.
Ah, yeah.
Already lost about 40 riders.
Wow.
Now, yeah, to crashes, to illness, to
Yeah.
just exhaustion. It's over 3,000 kilometers, the race. It's 20 stages. So of these 200 something riders, there's not a single average athlete in the bunch.
Yeah.
Average doesn't describe, even the guys who dropped out on the second and third day, they made the cut to get into the race. They're not average. Uh,
Yeah.
so where we were standing was probably the hilliest spot in our village, and they just cruised right by like it was nothing. You know,
Flash.
we knew when they were 5 minutes away because of the helicopters, and
Ah, yeah.
so I thought, okay, they're going to be turning that corner, they're going to be coming up the hill, and then all of a sudden I hear people going, yay! And they
Cheering
were like
them on.
already there. And I
Yeah.
turned around and took the selfie. I took like
Yeah.
3 shots.
That was awesome. Well
And
done.
then in the time it took me to turn back around, they were like
Go on.
halfway past me. I was like, oh my God. So it was pretty amazing. These guys are, and I'm just going to say, I hope all or most of them are clean. But
Oh,
even the
yeah.
ones,
I know what you mean.
but
Yeah.
even the ones who aren't clean, they still have to work really, really hard
To
to
get
stay
to
at
that
that
point.
level, drugs or no drugs. I
Yeah.
mean, mountain goats get tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, they called yesterday a flat stage. No.
Because it's not on a mountain.
There were no big mountains, but there were,
It's hilly though, isn't it, where you are?
yeah, in my area, there are things that, yeah, I get
Yeah.
winded just walking up. So,
Wow. I find
anyway,
it so
that was
interesting.
what I took from it, is that this is the biggest group of above average people I've ever seen, in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause they've also
Concentrate.
concentrated Did you feel like you could levitate afterwards, Tracy, or like you like punched the air?
Yeah,
You
I
like
was actually
break.
6 feet off the ground.
Sorry.
In the picture, I was actually 6 feet off the ground. Yeah.
Tracy took a great selfie for people watching because we have a lot of people who watch after actually. By the way, everyone. So yeah, he took a picture. You took a selfie of yourself with the racers coming right up behind you. It was such great timing.
Yeah, it was.
Take a look at his Facebook page.
I was impressed because once worked at a Grand Prix in Monaco years ago.
Oh, wow.
And my friends and I, we tried. The thing was to get a picture of the cars as they came past, but because they go so fast, I ended up with about 30 different beautiful pictures of one spot of tarmac,
There was no car.
and one picture of a blurry car. So I was like, because they must have been going fast. So I was like, wow, you must have just got it right.
Well, they were coming straight at me at that point. They had turned a corner, were coming, and then they turned again about 2 seconds later. So I had a very small window to just go click, click, click.
I love it.
Hey, Tracy, I've really enjoyed your lavender pictures too. You know, the trip you took to the lavender country there nearby you. Wonderful, wonderful stuff.
I might head back up there today. It's supposed to get stormy later, but I think I want to get at least one more time out there.
Talk about dream building. That's just one of mine to be there. You know,
it's just so lovely.
Yeah. Cool.
And I
just want to share something actually that was that's relevant to what we were just reading as well. Like unless you guys, there's anything you want to share about that, like what we just read, anything that.
I was in and out. Sorry.
You were in and out. Okay. It was just a really great example that I've personally experienced about, because at one point he talked about you have to look at every bad situation as a good one, learn to transmute your mind so that you take total control over it. And it just reminded me of this example when I'd moved to France. I was running my own business for the first time ever because I'd worked for other people before, even though I was kind of working as an entrepreneur. But anyway, I moved city, and I'd built up a really successful business in one city, in Toulouse, where I am actually right now. And I'd made a lot of money, I'd had a lot of fun. I'd saved up a lot of money, more than I'd ever had in my entire life in one go. And I was moving to the Riviera in France because I wanted to live near the sea. And what happened was that I couldn't stop thinking about the worst case scenario. Like, it was really strange. I still remember now, I'd go to the food shops, you know, like the grocery store, and I'd be buying groceries, and I'd have this thought flash through my mind, like, what if when I get there, everything goes wrong and I can't buy groceries anymore, and I like can't feed myself? And I remember telling someone about this because it was happening so much. And what I just wanted to share with everyone is that this book has really helped me not do that anymore, like more than anything else I've ever done in my life, because this happened for like a year and a half. And the funny thing was, guess what I created in my life? Like, I literally created being really broke, like so struggling. I spent all the money I'd saved up, made stupid decisions, like to hire a center that the guy was lying to me about it, and I just totally sabotaged my whole life. and what I have been,
negative, right?
and those negative thoughts literally transmuted into my physical reality. And so reading this book about a year ago, when I first began listening to this book, I was living in a tiny, tiny apartment. You know, this was the end result of that whole period, was that I found myself living in a smaller place than I ever have in my life. Like, I'd gone backwards, just making the bills, barely able to do anything except that, and such a struggling mindset. And this book, you know, when he says you have to transmute those things, transmute just means change it. You know, like if you find yourself thinking, what if I can't pay my bills next month? You have to think, imagine yourself paying them, or imagine yourself, you know, flying on a first-class plane. That's what I do quite a lot. Like, and I started to do that about 8-9 months ago, and I can just notice, you know, I'm about to move again. I'm making a new big move to a new country, and I don't have those fears anymore. Like in fact, I can actually feel that I'm going to be very prosperous within the next year, 2 years. I can just feel it. So it's like the opposites happen now, and I know that that's going to help me create that. So I just want to share with people that what Napoleon is talking about, it's not just, it doesn't just sound good. It literally, it changes your life. So I think you have to find.
You know, and remember in the passage, it said Napoleon used to see trouble coming. He'd look at it and say, "Come on in." And he'd just take it, ground it up like meal, right? Just grinds it up, done, onward. You know, onward, right? Come on in.
Because I used to get really scared of those things. I'd feel that happening, and I'd get really worried, and I would just kind of like sit. And even though I'd say like, "Universe, what's it going to take for me to be, you know, prosperous and happy and all of that?" Like I was asking, it's like you're asking someone who's beating you up.
Exactly.
So stop beating you up, but you don't think they will. You know, it's totally pointless.
You know, the thing I love about dreaming is this: when you dream, it's not your business to know how you're going to achieve the dream. It's not your business to know that, right? It's your business to do the dream and then transmute that dream through you. Exactly. And it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah. I want to take a step back to what Sandy was just saying about the problems and everything. And it's related to a different book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. One of the things he says in the book is you know, you'll know you're becoming more successful when you get more problems.
Well, yeah.
That's interesting.
Rise
when you have big problems to conquer, it means you're making it. If you don't have any problems, if you don't have any problems, it means you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
or
right.
Even if even if you won $100 million in the lottery, you're going to have more bigger problems.
Oh yeah.
I would love to have those problems.
Well, it would be a real test of your mettle, right? It would be.
Yeah, man. What a test. I'm not sure if I'm up to it.
You are, Tracy. You make shit happen. Come on. Yeah, I love that because, and that's also what Napoleon's talking about. Because you also have to stop seeing things as problems. I think, because you have to just see it as, okay, what's going to happen now? Like, how can this turn around? Instead of, oh fuck. And so
God gave you the ability to take on problems, right? God gave you the ability to take it on, dismiss it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, move on. Move on.
Yeah. And what T. Harv Eker talks a lot about in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, which is kind of like, it's so funny. They're all basically like tapping into the same source of consciousness, aren't they? Like, I love it. Like, you just find the same sorts of things said in different ways. It's like there's someone going, okay, there's so many different weird people out there. We need to like get this out there in so many different ways so that person gets it how they need it, and he gets it how he needs it. And T. Harv Eker, he says, when you make yourself smaller than a problem, this helped me so much when I first understood it. You're making the problem like this massive skyscraper, and you're like this little teepee, and you're like, I can't possibly like take that big thing on. And he was like, you have to do the opposite and just
the reverse.
Reverse like you just said, Glenn. God, universe, you can take on anything, and I think the more you do it, you start to realize that's true. Cool. Anything else you want to share before we finish, Monsieur?
I'm going to go back and read that.
Oh, at the same time. Tracy, what did you say?
I said, go Vincenzo Nibali.
Is he in the lead?
He's going to win.
It'd be cool to find out about him, how he trains and stuff. Like his, I love finding out about athletes and how they do stuff. Vincenzo Licenzi. Okay. Cool. And good to have you back, Tracy.
Thanks. And I was just so overwhelmed with so many different things that. Just things I had to do, and I was like, you wake up in the morning, you're like, do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? Do I do this? And I think
Yeah.
that's probably a better way to start.
Oh, well,
Hey,
if you ever want
you
to,
know, I'm on that Simpleology, Tracy, and it's actually it's kind of helping to focus in on my short, medium, and long term dreams. I mean, goals, right? Things that I'm working towards, and I find it's actually pretty helpful because it does get you in the early part of your day. You take care of the things that affect those immediately, right? And then work on the fun things, you know, after that too. So I'm finding it's a help. It's a help.
I'll give it a shot. It's a website I can go to.
Yes, Simpleology.com. Yeah, take a look at it. And you can do a $7 a month thing on it or something like that, which I think is more than adequate, you know. But
Thanks, man.
it's kind of interesting. Cool. It's developing, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for coming out. I'm going to turn the Hangout off. And just for Gayam, who said they don't know how to turn on their webcam. I don't know if you're a man or woman, so I'm saying they. You don't have to do that, actually. It does it automatically. That's a really good point. I've never thought of explaining that. It's it just happens automatically when you get into a Hangout. Your computer will, Google will work with your computer to make you visible to us. So don't worry about it. Just log into the Hangout with the instructions I posted, and your webcam should come on automatically. And if it doesn't, please tell me, because then I'm giving out incorrect information. But let's go forth and conquer, everyone, and just remember to keep transmuting anything that doesn't serve you obliterated out into the universe. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.